Hello, and welcome to another guide. In this one, we'll cover concealment and scrapper. Top left, you'll see the implants that I recommend, basically set bonus. I pretty much only recommend these two because nothing else is really worth using. I'm running a little bit more mastery than I am critical because I don't really have anything else better to do with my stats. However, you can go 5k critical if you only have critical ox, and not really worry you're not really going too far into critical DR that you're wasting a whole bunch of stats / damage. We are running 4 Lethality pieces, which are our enhancements for implants. In our case, it's implants plus 2 enhancements, or an earpiece. We're running everything else into critical. We have 9 mastery ox, 5 critical. These are the talents that I've run. You can switch up how you want to. However, these are the ones that I recommend. Obviously, hard stun or the movement speed on evasion is totally optional of like what you want to use. But the other ones I would say are a little bit less optional. You can take Disappearing Act, which reduces the cooldown of your stealth if you feel like you want that more. You can also take Flashbang if you really want to. I like the extra mobility. Mobility is the most important thing in 8v8, so that's what I lean towards. Use Volatile Strike, and I also use the Explosive Cells, which is the AoE Volatile. I only use AoE Volatile if I know it's a game where I can get a lot of cleave off and I'm not like too worried about survival, whereas like there might be a tank on my team, or there might be a healer on my team, and I might be able to get away with a little bit more greedy gameplay. And I will change my build a little bit accordingly. I will stop taking the 100% crit after crippling slice if I'm running the AoE one. By the way, I'll probably take the range one for the tactical advantage when building, but also just having a range route is good. Especially if you're trying to do AoE, you want to keep the person, locked down when you're trying to explode volatile so that AoE is around them. But however, most of the time using volatile strike, your sustain single target DPS is pretty deadly. It's pretty comparable to Carnage Marauder. However, it's mostly yellow damage. So the main thing you would do with volatile strike opener, going into our main combos here, is Hollow Shivers if you haven't, or if you take it. Stim boost, volatile, raid buff, Veld strike, crippling slash for the auto crit, and then go into backstab. This is where you'll hit 100k plus backstab, and then you go into lacerate filler. Lacerate will hit a lot of damage, and you'll have a dot after you use backstab that will increase your armor pin by 30%, which is really huge. And when that dot falls off, you need to reapply another dot, which is Corrosive Dart. So therefore, you can get the passive for lacerate, which will help you build an extra tactical advantage. So therefore, you're not, standing there like, oh man, I don't have any tactical advantages, and everything that builds tactical advantage is currently on cooldown. In that situation, you won't have to deal with that. That won't actually happen if you're actually managing it well, because if you have a dot on them, you will get a tactical advantage back after you use the lacerate. It can only happen once every 10 seconds. It basically fixes the class, and this is probably the thing that you're missing if you're trying to do single target damage and you're like, man, I'm always one tactical advantage short. This is what you're supposed to do to deal with that. Obviously, there are abilities like Overload Shot, Toxic Haze, and Thermal Grenade. Thermal Grenade is good for AoE, so is Toxic Haze. However, we're not really an AoE spec, so do take it with a grain of salt. Those things are sometimes hard on your energy management, so maybe do think a little bit before using them. However, Toxic Haze is not bad to just leave like on a door where there's like 7 people, especially if you gotta run away to go heal or something. Thermal Grenade's also a great ability to use, like stop camps, but also at the same time, it's great for hitting people that are in cleave because it's a lot of free damage, especially if you're not able to like actively engage. And then Overload Shot is just a nice ability that you can, I guess, use. It is white damage, however, so do take that with forewarning. It's like really good against Shroud. There's not very many things that are just specifically working against yellow damage that don't actually work against white damage too, so just think about that. If somebody does Shroud, you can Overload Shot or Rifle Shot, so you do have an option. Other than that, there's not really anything crazy about Concealment. It's all about rolling to basically manage your defensive power and absorb damage by being immune through roll. I do have a defensive guide for 44 and 8v8. I'll link that in the description. Definitely check that out if you're more interested in surviving as Concealment. Basically, the number one thing you need to know is where can I roll to get further distance from my roll? How do I roll, over this ledge and get an extended roll? Stuff like that. You need to just sit down and play, take practice. Roll is your best friend, and it's the main way that you're going to mitigate any sort of damage. Now going into game, I'm going to show you an example of the burst opener. And just like that, it's not complicated, it's not hard, it's not difficult. There's nothing you really have to think about. Now, to show you what I mean by building a TA. So if I have a dot on the target, I have a chance to build TA like I just did there. I had no TA, but I built a TA because it did damage while somebody was poisoned. That's how you pretty much do sustained damage. Basically, you want to make sure that, if you have 2 tactical advantages, you're probably not supposed to be using Felled Strike. Use a Lacerate. If you still have 2, use another Lacerate. Then you'll have 1, then you can build 2 again. You want to use Felled Strike anytime that you have 1 to pretty much maintain that, you have tactical advantage. But other than that, it's nothing too crazy. The main reason I take this one is because of how fast you move. Mobility, again, I said, is pretty much king, and it is very important to be able to move and get out of bad situations. Other than that, if you guys have any questions about Concealment, feel free to leave them in the comments. I do have a lot of solo ranked gameplay from Concealment from Season 12 back in 6.0. A lot of the fundamentals have changed, except for you're way less tanky, but if you ever do want to see gameplay, I have a lot of competitive gameplay from playing this spec and solo ranked from last expansion. However, for the most part, it's not much of a team fighter, though it can kind of be melded into it with support, but it will never be like the APPT, it'll never be the Hatred Assassin, it'll never be those. So you'll just have to play to its strengths and enjoy it for what it is. I think this burst right here is really silly, but also fun. So, not much to think about. Hope you guys enjoy. If you have any questions, again, just leave a comment and I'll be more than happy to help.